Hello and welcome to The Common Legend. My name is Sean, and this week our legend is Britt Garrett. Britt, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, that didn't sound scripted at all.
Well, it's not.
I mean, technically it's not. Britt, thank you so much for coming on to the show this week.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Sean.
Yeah, it should be an interesting. You're the first woman we have on the show.
Yes.
That's kind of huge.
It's big.
It's big. Yeah.
Yeah.
First blonde white woman.
You know,
Hetero.
I might as well
Baby
just
steps.
order a pumpkin spice latte right now because I am that basic.
Well, me and Britt, we have an interesting dynamic, don't we?
We sure do.
Yeah. Because Britt is one of your ex-wives.
The second wife.
One of my ex-wives.
That's correct.
That is correct.
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting sitting here with you and talking. Like, I'm really glad you came on. But I think our story and your story are both pretty great. So
They're so great.
So how did we meet, Britt? How did you meet me?
I met you at Lake Harriet Spiritual Community on a Sunday morning. It's, a cool spiritual center where they have Sunday speakers every morning, and you were sitting in the pew in front of me with your pink hair. And
It was purple, thank you.
Okay. And your arm around Phoenix. And
My
I thought
arm
you were
wasn't
gay.
around him. Maybe
like
behind
this
the
on the bench.
backrest.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's just my go-to.
Yes.
So what is a spirituality center?
It's just a place that has a lot of different offerings. They do Sunday speakers, they do men's groups, they do breath work, they do drumming on Friday nights. They have a lot of different cool activities, and most of it's free. So
Yeah.
that place helped me out a lot after I quit drinking.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a church, but not really a church.
Right.
More accepting of anyone who believes in anything. Like,
Right.
There's people of Christianity or Jewish heritage there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And more spiritually minded people like us.
Exactly.
So yeah, we met at Spirituality Center, and then we got married about a week and a half later in Las Vegas.
That's correct.
That is, yeah. You ever done anything like that before?
I had not.
No?
No. I had just left the sober house I was living at, and I was in an outpatient rehab program for the millionth time. And I had just moved home from a sober house, and I really wanted to drink the night before, and I didn't. And what I did instead is I put a little note under my pillow that said, "I am in God's waiting room. He will find me a wonderful man in his time." And the next day I met you.
So you're saying you manifested
I
me?
manifested you,
Yeah.
but I was not specific enough.
Yeah, apparently.
But he gave me what I asked for, a wonderful man, and you're still in my life. So
Oh,
prayer answered.
You're also a wonderful woman still in my life, so appreciate it. I'm actually I'm really happy I'm able to have a relationship with you after what we did.
Yeah.
It's really important to me, being able to be like, hey, yeah, we did something crazy. We fell in love, got married real quick in Las Vegas, reality TV show shit, to fast forward now and being just supportive friends is pretty cool. I think a lot of people could learn from that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So we met at a spirituality center, and then we kind of hit it off. I asked you out for a date. We had steaks, and within a week, we're like, let's go to Vegas.
That's right.
Got rings on Amazon.
Sure did.
Flew to Vegas, both completely sober.
The whole time.
Believe it or not. We did not have a single drink, not a single hit of anything.
No.
Because we were both being sober, obviously, at that time.
At that time.
Yeah. And we got married in the back of Elvis's little pink Cadillac.
Right. Where Britney Spears got married.
Oh, really?
Yes.
At the Little White Chapel.
Yes.
The same place featured in The Hangover. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty iconic.
It's a very famous spot in Vegas.
It's a great story.
It's a great story.
It's a great story.
And it was a fun time. It was a quick 2-day trip, but we had fun.
Yeah, in and out real quick. Let's get married.
Yes.
They make it a lot easier than you'd think.
It is.
Yeah. So that's kind of our back history, but I don't want to make this all about us. I want to kind of focus.
This is
on
about me, Sean.
You.
Let's
Yeah.
focus.
So where are you from?
I am from a small town called Mankato, Minnesota.
Oh, pretty small.
It's like the little big town of southern Minnesota, really. Yeah.
Doesn't Mankato have the highest rates of people getting drunk and dying in rivers or something like that?
God, I don't know.
No.
Potentially.
No. So you grew up in Cato. Mm-hmm. So when did you come down to the cities?
I moved to the cities in 2004 after I graduated college.
2004 is when you
right.
graduated college. Mm-hmm. That's when I graduated high school.
Well, yes, I do like them younger.
So you graduated college. Where did you go to college?
I went to MSU Mankato.
Okay. What did you study there?
I studied speech communications, which is just communications. It's not like speech therapy, which a lot of people think it's speech therapy, and that's totally something different. But just, I'm a fucking awesome communicator now,
Yeah.
I guess.
That's a good degree to get.
I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I just
Yeah.
wanted to get out of retail. That's why I went to school.
Yeah. Just get
And
me
now
the
I'm
fuck
in
out of here.
retail, and I have been for the last 25 years. But, I did speech because it was a good default. You could kind of do a lot of things with it. It wasn't like, I'm going to be a nurse or a teacher, because I just didn't know.
And speech, like communications, kind of existent in every profession.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to communicate, no
Gotta
matter if you're a
communicate.
lawyer or a doctor. Or,
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And then you said, so you're still in retail.
I
You're
am.
trying to get out of retail, but you're kind of in like fancy retail now. So what do
I
you
am
do
in my
for a
dream,
living?
my dream job. I actually have my dream job. So I am a visual merchandiser, which basically means that I make things look pretty. For this luxury retail store in the North Loop called Martin Patrick 3.
Super luxury.
Very luxurious.
Like spend more than my yearly take home.
Got some high ticket items.
Yeah. Oh my God. To say the least.
Yes. I think the most expensive thing in the store is a chandelier that's about $30,000.
Clothes plus chandeliers. Like, so,
We sell clothing, art, furniture. So
yeah. Everything.
yeah. So I get to design windows, style fashion shows. I have total creative freedom. It's a dream.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because fashion is kind of your passion.
It is.
Yeah. And you've worked in fashion for many years, right?
Yes. In fact, I did want to go to Stout for college. They have a very good fashion program, but at the time my mother was sick and I opted to stay home.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what, your mother got sick. What did she get sick with?
She had Pick's disease, which is a form of frontal lobe dementia.
PICS, like
Yes.
P-I-X?
P-I-C-K-S.
P-I-C-K, like PICS. Okay. Dementia. That must have been tough, though.
It was incredibly difficult.
Yeah. Must have been a slow burn.
Well, the biggest problem with Pick's is that she didn't think anything was wrong with her. She didn't know that anything was wrong with her. And at the time, my dad was a fire commander and he was also a truck driver, so he was never home, and he just would not listen to me and my sister when we said, dude, something is fucking wrong with our mother. Like, she is losing her mind. And one day he decided to listen to us, and then he put her into a home, and she died a year later.
Wow.
She actually died of pneumonia.
Not PICS.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's typical of, I think, dementia cases, from what I've heard, that they don't die from dementia. It's like something else.
Because they can't like communicate what's wrong with them.
I don't really
or
know.
something?
I think, honestly, there's a little resentment about my dad putting her into a home because she went downhill very fast, which, I can't say he did the right or wrong thing. He did what was best for him at the time. And it was probably better that way because she was, not living a fulfilling life.
So how old were you when like this all started to happen?
When she started to get sick, I was probably about 14.
Okay.
And then I was 19 when she passed.
Wow. So that's pretty fast, within 5 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
must have been really tough. Were you close with your mom?
I was very close with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and her and my sister. It was us three because my dad was always, not at home because of
Yeah.
his jobs. So, yeah, very close.
Yeah. So how did your relationship with your father change then after your mom passed away?
I don't know how to explain that it changed. Like, I feel like my dad did the best that he could and with what he knew what to do, which was being the provider for us. So after she died, he continued to support us by providing for us, like doing our laundry or like throwing us a couple $100 here and there. But we never really had a super strong relationship with my dad. And I think that now that he's getting older, he wants that more. So
he's pursuing it more, like reaching
yeah,
out to
I
you
feel like
guys.
he has definitely, in his older age, kind of, he's lost a lot of people in his life. So
Yeah.
I think he's maybe thinking, well, this is what I've got left. We've got to have a relationship instead of, maybe he sees like how little he was there for us growing up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you harbor a little resentment towards him for that? Then,
Yes,
or?
I do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even though he like provided, like you said, in the best way he knew
Right.
how. it was still not what you needed
Right.
at the time.
You know, it's interesting because I always thought my abandonment issues stemmed from my mother dying. But I think when I've done some work on this and really like asked myself the question, I really think it was because my dad wasn't there for us when we needed him to be. He is where the abandonment issue is for me, because he wasn't there to listen to us. He wasn't listening to us. I never felt heard. So, yeah.
It's tough.
It's hard.
I know how that is. I lost my mom, too. We bonded over that
We
a little
did.
bit, a little trauma bonding.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, yours was much newer than mine, because this July will be 25 years since my mom passed. And yours is
Coming up 7. So.
coming up on 7.
Yeah. But still, I mean, it still affects you through the rest of your life.
It does.
Yeah.
But I hate to sound so cliche, but time really does make
Heal
it
all
better. It makes it
wounds,
not
yeah.
so, it's just not so fresh when it's not so fresh.
Yeah.
And I think too, because it's hard for me to remember her, especially her in her normal state, because that was, God, I'm 44 now. I mean, that was like, what, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
30 years ago, like when she was normal. So I think I have a hard time like struggling with the idea that I don't remember her. I heard one of your guests talk about like I didn't remember the sound of her voice, and that hurt them. And I can't remember anything really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were so young.
I was,
I mean,
but also me and my sister dealt with it by way of drugs and alcohol.
yeah.
So
So
that
you want
was
to
a
get into
disaster
that?
as
Have
well.
you ever, Britt, have you ever struggled with drug or alcohol
I
abuse?
absolutely have. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did that start? Was it your mother's death, do you think? Or?
No, I'd say like, well, the first time I got drunk, I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And that, was a one-off thing when you are in 7th grade and you're partying with your friends. But I started drinking heavily at age 14.
Heavily.
Yeah.
So that was right around the same time when your mother was getting.
Yeah, because she was kind of losing her mind. She would really let us kind of have the run of the house. Like we would have friends stay over. We'd be smoking gravity bongs in my room, and she would buy us booze. And, it was like, oh my God, your mom's a fun party mom. But people didn't know that she just really had no wits about her. So she didn't really know right from wrong. So yeah, my sister and I did drugs and drank to kind of numb that pain.
Yeah. It's pretty
And I
common.
continued on that path for quite some time.
So yeah, when did it so you started like right around when your mom was getting bad.
Right.
But when did like your use or substance use start to get bad? When did you notice? Was it like after your mom passed away, or?
Honestly, like not the very first time I got drunk when I was 12, but like right when I started drinking at age 14, I just saw that I got drunk much differently than my friends did. Like I was always blacking out. I was super, super sloppy. I was saying things that I totally regretted. I was doing things I regretted. Like I just lost my mind.
Yeah.
And at the age of 19, I was court ordered into my first outpatient treatment center. And that's because I got 2 underage consumptions within 6 months of each other. The second one put me on probation. And while on probation, they call it a hit and run. Okay, you guys, I call it a tap and go because I was driving while drinking after partying all night long on acid, drinking. And I was literally drinking a beer when I pulled up to the stoplight. So, I'm tilting it.
At
and
the
I couldn't
stoplight.
see. So I tapped the person in front of me and then I took off.
Okay. So it wasn't a hit and run. It was a tap and go.
Tap
you
and
said?
go.
Okay.
And after
got
that,
ya.
they got me. I went to detox over Easter weekend. And it was like a 3-day long detox in a little town called Newell, Minnesota. My parents picked me up on Easter Sunday, and I knew I had like a 30-minute drive back to Mankato. And so I offered my new friend Martha, who had been in that detox center 3 times that week, I offered her a ride back to Mankato to help kind of cushion the blow of me and my parents being alone in the car. And after that, I had to go to court, and they said you can either do a weekend in jail or you can do outpatient rehab. And after being in detox for a weekend, I said absolutely not.
You chose
I'm not.
rehab
I
over
did,
a weekend in jail?
because I was terrified of going to jail, because being like cooped up for 3 days without being able to smoke a cigarette or drink. When I was in outpatient, I still drank. I still used. Like I had no desire to quit drinking.
No.
No.
So
I
you
had
just-
to quit smoking weed because that's the one thing that would show up on tests. But I knew that I could do cocaine on Thursdays because I wouldn't get tested until Tuesday. I knew the days that I could drink and then have it out of my system before I got tested. So I totally just played the part
Right.
and to get myself out of there.
Yeah. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
Like I've done that too. It's like, okay, so you do the math. Like how long does it take to get out of your system?
Oh, yeah.
I can do this. At least I can smoke cigarettes. But I'm telling you, like looking back, a weekend in jail versus actual treatment, like I would take that weekend in jail
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Eat those bologna sandwiches. Make some friends.
Yeah.
Make your parents drive them home to Mankato, you
I
know?
don't know.
So this was this a turning point for you, or was this kind of like a roadblock in your journey?
I don't know that it was either of those. It was just another thing on my to-do list because at the time I was in college. I was working full time in a retail store. I was teaching Taibo, which is,
Hiya.
it was like a very
Kick it like
kickboxing.
Taibo.
It was like, one of those trendy workout programs.
Yeah.
And then I had to go to this outpatient on top of that. So, I mean, I was just like, okay, now I just really don't have any time to drink at this point because I have all these things to do. But it did not deter me from that. And I had no desire to get sober
Okay.
until 2021 when I checked myself into Hazelden, Betty Ford.
So that's a big gap. So between then and 2021, how many years is that? Over a decade?
I mean, so I was 19 and then I was 41. So it was 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the point you reached in 2021? And that's in the core, that's in the pandemic. Like we're in the thick of it.
It was.
And everyone's going to rehab and like everyone's doing it. So what do you think was like the moment or the aha moment, or what was the thought that went through your head, or what was the incident that you experienced that made you be like, I need to go?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that the pandemic was not good for me. At the time, I was a market manager for a local retailer, a local shirt designer, and I was making more money than I ever had in my life. And I had a roommate at the time, so I had like $10,000 in my bank account, and I had never not worked in my life. Not since I was like 12 years old, because I was teaching dance before I got like my real first job at Dairy Queen. So, during the pandemic, those 3 months, I was at the liquor store every day at 9 a.m. And, that's when I can kind of see it like going downhill. But really, I'd say like if there was a moment that I could think of, so I went in to Hazelden January 5th of 2021. That Christmas before that, I basically lied to my family and canceled Christmas, told them I was sick just so I could stay home and drink by myself. And my sister showed up to my house unbeknownst to me to bring me a plate of food and found me on the couch, drinking alone. And I just started crying. I was doing it because I was lonely and bored and unhappy. But alcohol's a depressant, and all that did was perpetuate the unhappiness, the loneliness, and the boredom. And, I did not get sober after I left Hazelden. I did for 5 months, but I still say that Hazelden was the best decision I ever made in my life, next to marrying you. And we'll talk about that later.
Wow, really?
I told you
holy
that.
shit. You're going to make me blush.
So that Hazelden was really the start of my own journey. I've always said like I was court ordered to rehab. Anyone that's forced or, if someone does a intervention, I don't feel like that is going to work because that person doesn't want it for themselves. But I truly did not want to live that life. Also, I was very unhappy at my job and I was like, I want a month off of work. Let's go to rehab. But it was a really wonderful time. I met some wonderful women and it was like I got to work on myself for 30 days and not have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, it's amazing. People don't realize like that little break can be so important.
It was.
If you have the insurance that could cover it, like Hazelden, you keep mentioning Hazelden. That's like the bougie. That's where the celebrities go.
This is where I got very lucky.
How the hell did you get into Hazelden?
So Hazelden is about $30,000 for a month.
Oh my God.
And I saw people there that did not have insurance, and when they couldn't pay, they were kicked out. It was sad. But I had Health Partners insurance through my company at the time, which is Hazelden's main insurance. So I walked away paying $3,000 out of pocket. Yeah.
That's huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then alcohol was your DOC, your drug of choice.
Alcohol and weed.
Alcohol and
Yeah,
weed.
because I could not do anything without smoking weed. I mean, I could not put my feet on the floor in the morning without being high. I would wake up in the middle of the night to get high. Like weed really, and they went hand in hand because when I drank, I always wanted more. I wanted to feel more fucked up. So then I would smoke and then I would pass out. So, yeah, it was both of those things.
It's both. Okay. And when you say more, I want more, I want more. We've talked about this, about the philosophy of addicts they're not addicted to any one thing. They're addicted to more.
Yes.
Which, so you told me that and it stuck with me. And I love that ideology of, I'm not addicted to anything. I'm addicted to more
Right.
sex, more drugs, more alcohol, more weed, more coke, more whatever.
Yes.
So at what point do you think you realized you were addicted to more and not just like weed or alcohol?
I mean, so when I left Hazelden, it just, they talk about the transfer, right? What is the word I'm looking for? The cross addiction. It just went from weed and alcohol to men. And I found myself on a Bumble dating app, and I met a guy who was also sober at the time. And we dated for a couple months, and I said to him, if you ever break up with me, I'm going to relapse.
Oh, shit. Girl, you can't.
I know.
That's toxic as fuck.
And that's definitely one of the reasons he broke up with me.
Yeah.
And I relapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you knew, like,
Yes.
a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It kind of
almost,
was. It
like-
kind of was. Like, I think that, in the back of my mind, I was like hoping, like, please
Okay.
let this guy break up with me so I have an excuse to drink again.
But it was at that time that you realized I could either be addicted to you or addicted to that.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I think the addicted to more thing, it came for me more because when I was in AA meetings, I just had a real problem with labeling myself an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say I'm an alcoholic because, my therapist says, like, any label you put on yourself, it's like, that's what you're going to be. And I don't want to be an alcoholic the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm just addicted to more, everything. Like, it's not just alcohol, it's
Yeah.
everything. It was shopping. Like at Hazelden, the joke was that everyone was ordering stuff on Amazon. There was packages coming every day and everyone was at the bookstore getting
So
stuff.
addicted
So
to
you wanted that
shopping.
hit of dopamine somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's why I really loved when you presented me with the whole philosophy of addicted to more, because it's like, oh, it could be sex, it could be shopping, it could be food, it could be anything.
Right.
I'm not an alcoholic, I'm not an addict. I am a human being struggling to get by. I'm not addicted to anything, I'm addicted to more. And
Yes.
that's why I really love that principle, and it stuck
Yeah.
with me to this
Good.
day. Yeah. So you get out of Hazelton, and then what?
So I'm out of Hazelden and I get another month or two off of work to do my outpatient. And during that time, I just put my head down and looked for a new job. And I told you I was making really good money. I was a market manager. I was managing 2 locations here in Minneapolis and 2 locations in Atlanta. And I just thought about, what do I really love to do? I've been managing retail stores forever. It's basically babysitting adults. I'm fucking sick of it. And the part about retail that I loved was merchandising. So I went out and I looked for a merchandising position, which is hard to find. It's not
No.
something that every store has. And usually if you're a merchandiser, you're in another role too, like an assistant store manager or whatever it is. But Target was hiring for merchandisers. Each Target store has an in-house store merchandiser. And so I took a 50% pay cut and went to Target.
So you took the pay cut because you saw the ease on your mind? Or?
Yes, my mental health
Yeah.
was so much, like, I knew if I went back to that job that I would definitely start drinking again because I was so unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really self-aware. That's huge.
Yeah. And it was also, I feel like more than that, it was the trust that I put into the universe that things are going to work out,
Yeah. So on that note, when did spirituality really come into the picture for you? Like what was there a pivotal moment or an aha moment where spirituality became like a driving factor for you? Because that's obviously how we met at a spiritual
Yeah.
center. So when did spirituality become like important to you?
Yeah. It's so after Hazelton, I was sober for 5 months. The guy broke up with me. I started drinking again. And I think it was the year after that I had some surgery and I was given Oxy for the surgery, and then I became addicted to that. And so that I actually went back to rehab. I went to another inpatient facility to try to kick Oxy and drinking. And it was there that I met this awesome girl named Kenzie. We didn't know each other that long. This particular inpatient was awful, and I was only there for a week, and then I went and moved into a sober house because I just did not want to be there. And Kenzie, I just met her, and she offered to take my cats for me while I moved into this sober house, and she's the one that told me about Lake Harriet. And
Right.
really, that's kind of what started it, is just the people that I met there. And then The connections that I made through the spiritual center led me into meeting, Eddie Evolves, who was the creator of Share Your Magic and Minnesota Soul Family. And so I met a lot of great other like-minded spiritual people through that chat and through the events that were being hosted by him, and met some of my best friends through there. And that, that was so cool for me because I was really craving socialization, but I'd never seen that in any aspect except for going to a bar. And
Right.
all my friends from Mankato, who I'm still super close with, I have a rock solid group of girls that I've been friends with for 35 years. They just all still drink. And I just needed to be social in a setting that people weren't just trying to get fucked up all the time.
Mm-hmm. So your addiction kind of led you to that opportunity.
It
almost,
did.
Though.
It did.
Do you think you would have found that community without having gone through what you went through?
No, and that's what I was actually even thinking about when you were saying, you should have just went to jail instead of rehab. It's I do think that was part of my path. In my spiritual practice, the things that have really resonated with me is this idea, one of the things is this idea that, we do have a divine plan for our souls. And every little thing that you experience in life is bring you closer to that plan, and it's part of that plan, and you just never know what it is.
This is a good transition because I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts then on the concept or the construct of destiny, fate versus free will? How much of your life do you think is predetermined, and how much of it do you think is your own choosing?
So one thing I got really into after getting sober was near-death experience stories. NDEs, that's right.
It's a whole TikTok thing. Which TikTok's back, if you don't know.
I didn't even know it was gone.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not, actually.
No, okay. Well, it's back.
Okay. Yay, TikTok's
So you got
back.
into NDEs.
I got into NDEs because I had listened to a story, and just watching these people tell their story about how amazing it was to experience the other side and to experience source. And they all talk about this feeling of love that they can't even explain. It just resonated with me. There is a reason that we're here. And I just believe that everything that I've done, good, bad, the other, has all led me to the person that I'm supposed to be, which is I just am trying to be my authentic self. I think that's the goal for everybody, is to just try to be their most authentic self.
Yeah. So was religion pretty predominant in your upbringing? Were you raised religious, Christian, or?
Yeah, I was raised in a very old school Lutheran church. We went to church every Sunday. I was confirmed, so I had to go to confirmation classes. And after my mom died, everything just fell away from that.
Yeah.
But I had always had a relationship with God. And even as a child, I would pray for hours and hours every night. Hours. I would OCD on prayer almost. Yeah.
To the Christian God?
Yeah. But it was also my own relationship with him. I would talk to him like I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
Even though that's not how I heard my pastor speak to him in a sermon.
Yeah.
So
you kind of found your own path.
Yeah.
Through faith.
Yeah.
And belief. And stuff like that.
Actually, now that I'm just having this remembrance, when I was in that first rehab, that outpatient, I found a book called The Celestine Prophecy, and that was the very first spiritual book that I ever read. And it wasn't till 20 years later that I really got into the different spiritual literature. Michael Singer's Untethered Soul being my favorite book of all time. But it's kind of funny when you think back at that was just a little drop to kind of show me what my path is going to be. Yeah.
So then boiling back to the question I asked you, how much do you believe that our journey is predetermined versus our own free will?
Right. So I do feel like there is a general kind of map for us. There's certain points in our lives that we're going to hit. For me, my marriage to you was definitely one of them. That was something that was going to happen no matter what. I do believe that free will comes into play in the sense that there's many different parallel realities going on, and depending on if you turn right or left, something can go completely different. It's going to take you in a totally different version of your life. But I still think that those main points, like my mom's death, marrying you, going to rehab. Those are like my big 3 things that have happened in my life. Like those were all going to happen no matter what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you believe in kind of like this happy union between free will and fate.
Right.
Where like, yes, we're predetermined, but it's also like choose your own adventure.
Right.
Kind of. Where you get to be like, am I going A, B, or C?
Right.
So you like to think you have some control.
Yes.
But there's an overall like plan that you're following.
Right.
Right?
And I think, especially because I had struggled so much relapsing, and, after I quit drinking, it became another beast of what my addiction was. It turned into a ketamine addiction, then it became an Adderall addiction, and currently it's a cocaine addiction. But I just feel like all of those things are leading me to be the person that I'm supposed to be. So even when I've had days, nights, just beating myself up, why do I still use? Why am I addicted to cocaine now? I've never been addicted to that before. I have to try to give myself some grace. And one of the biggest principles I learned in spirituality is not forcing something, just allowing things to happen. So am I forcing myself to try to stop? How about I just stop putting so much pressure and attention on trying to stop? Because the more you resist, it persists.
Right.
So that has kind of been my most recent takeaway, is giving myself grace. And, last summer was not great for me as far as the cocaine use was going. And although I have not stopped, I've been practicing harm reduction, and I'm using much, much less than I was, even to the point where I said no this weekend to it, which is a first. So I'm trying to celebrate those small wins and realize that, I am on a path and there's a plan for me.
Okay. So you do believe in like the plan. There's a
Yes.
plan. You have faith in it. No matter what happens, everything's going to work out exactly how it's supposed to.
Exactly.
But you still have independent choice within that plan to
Right.
get you there.
And I think those independent choices, that free will, it will either move along your plan faster or delay it, but you're still going to get to that plan.
Okay. So no matter what, the end is still the end.
Yes.
It's just your journey that changes.
Right.
I like that. That's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like me.
Okay. Yes, you're very pretty. Okay. Everyone at home, take a look.
Stop.
Very beautiful. No. Okay. Obviously, I don't like ugly girls.
No.
Oh, I'm going to get canceled again.
We can splice that out, right?
No, I'm not gonna, though.
Okay, then don't.
Okay.
Remember the last girl you were dating? You showed me.
You
You have a type.
type.
You've got a type.
I have a type.
Witchy.
Witchy.
You said I like
okay,
witchy women.
Okay.
Sidebar.
That's not a sidebar. All right. So obviously spirituality has or religion has had an impact on your life.
Yes.
When do you think it started having like the most impact? Like at what point, at what stage do you think spirituality, religion, this unknown, when did that really start helping you form who you are right now?
Honestly, I would say the first time that I went to ceremony with 5-MeO DMT, that changed my life.
And 5-MeO DMT, if I'm mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the toad venom, right? Like lick a toad?
So Bufo alvarius is the toad venom.
Okay.
5-MeO is a synthetic version of that.
Okay, so it's synthetic licking a toad.
Yes, you got it.
So that's when things changed for
Yes.
you. So there was a ceremony you went to.
I had 3 ceremonies. The first one, there was no effect at all. Mm-hmm. They had told me that they maybe overserved me. The second one was a profound change.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to a friend about it this weekend. I still feel that change within me.
Really?
Yes. I've never been the same person since doing that second ceremony. And then I did a third one. And the third ceremony was actually a mixture of 5-MeO and the Bufo alvarius. So it was both together.
God damn.
Yeah.
So what sparked you to go on this more holistic healing chemical use journey?
It was the people that I met in community. Like I say, they weren't using drugs and alcohol, but there's plant medicine. There's Hrape, there's Sangana, there's 5-MeO, there's ayahuasca. That's one I haven't done. But I had met some people who just had told me about their experience, and it just resonated with me and was something that I wanted to try. Yeah.
And were you looking for something to help guide you on your journey or heal past trauma, or?
I think it was a healing of past trauma and kind of a reset of the nervous system. Like I just felt like I am a computer program, and that just like reset everything.
Okay.
And I just felt like brand new again.
Yeah.
Yes.
How long did that last?
I mean, there is a little bit of a high afterwards, but you know, it's still there. Like it doesn't go away. It didn't for me, at least.
So you still have that spiritual high, like presently.
Yes.
And what is that leading you towards, or what do you think it's guiding you towards?
Hopefully, just to become my most authentic self, and to just learn. Like through the NDE experience stories that I've listened to, my takeaway is that the purpose of life is to learn and to love. And so I've really taken that and started looking at the hard things that happened to me as this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me.
You.
So the best example I have is when our marriage fell apart. The day that you left my house was the last day I ever drank. And that was, as of yesterday, it was 1,000 days ago. 1,000 days. So 2 years, 9 months coming up.
That's huge.
And you know, I had after you left, I had my my spiritual teacher come to the house. She did a cleansing on the house, and we did a reading. And her and I talked about quitting drinking as a decision. And I really looked at it like that. It was a decision. And I just decided, like, you left, I could either lose everything again and be sad and cry and be like, it's my fault. You know, I just like, everything was about me. Like, I'm not pretty enough. I was love bombing. I did all these things wrong. But no, it was just like this experience was here to teach me. And instead of looking at it for what I thought it was, which was a marriage, I got something much better than that, which is a best friend, which was you living with me after that and us finding out like a lot about each other. And you just, after we got divorced, we really got to know each other. And you're one of my favorite human beings in the world.
Well, you're one of my favorite human beings too.
Oh, yay. You're love bombing me.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Okay, everyone cut.
I learned it by watching you, okay?
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of, I see you got real vulnerable and now you're deflecting. So
okay.
So like presently, how would you identify yourself, like spiritually or religiously? What would you call yourself?
I am a spiritual being having a human experience on this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a relationship with God. I call him God, creator, source, universe, whatever you want to say. And yeah. Does that answer the question?
I guess, yeah.
Maybe?
No, it does, totally.
Okay.
So obviously spirituality has had a profound impact on your journey.
Yes.
Even before we met and after, and still continues to. Mm-hmm. So like, let's say tonight, for example, when you go home, are you going to pray or,
You know, that's one thing is when I left Hazelden, I had a real strong practice of like journaling every morning and like doing the work. And I've been journaling some, but I don't have like a solid practice. I learned transcendental meditation a few years back, and yesterday I kind of started it up again because, you know, I don't know if anyone that has experienced meditation and it's like, I can't do it. It's too hard. And it is hard when you first start it because there's all these thoughts that are coming through your head and people think that you're doing it wrong if you're thinking. But that's the beautiful part about meditation is a practice. So like the more you practice at it, the less those thoughts are going to affect you.
Totally.
But I think like in TM, you learn that those thoughts dumping out of your brain is actually stress leaving your brain. So it's a very healthy thing.
What's TM?
So TM is transcendental meditation. It's where you meet with a coach and they give you a mantra to say while you're meditating, and it's not something that you can ever tell anybody. It's not a word that you can ever speak aloud. And there's an app that goes with it. Jerry Seinfeld does TM.
Okay.
I'm a huge Seinfeld
I know you're a
fan.
huge Seinfeld fan.
But I'd always struggled with wanting to meditate and learn, like, how do I learn? And so I went the TM route, and it was amazing. Like, when I first was practicing it twice a day for 23 minutes a day, like, I definitely saw noticeable changes.
And was it your therapist, Joe Ellen, that introduced you to TM?
No, it was probably the community that did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's been really powerful for you.
It has.
Okay. All right. So you're not Christian. You're not Buddhist. You're Brit.
I'm Britist. No.
British.
No,
Whoa.
Total joke, don't. So I know that you practice Buddhism. There's many principles of that I really am attracted to. However, I've been recently listening to this guy on Lewis Howes has a podcast called The School of Greatness. And he's been interviewing this guy who is a Kabbalist. And he's been teaching me the principles of Kabbalah, which are very in line with like everything I've learned in spirituality. So I'm just interested in that. I don't know that I want to claim like I'm this or that, but I'm very interested in some of the principles behind Buddhism, principles behind Kabbalah.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this, though. I probably won't be going back to that Lutheran church.
Which one? The one I took you to?
No, well, that one too. The one I grew up in. Like,
Okay.
to me, again, with the near-death experience stories, like, they always joke that Creator thinks it's funny that we've created all these religions when we all have the same goal, but we still have to make it separatize and like pin each other against each other, and it's ridiculous.
It is kind of a joke.
It is.
Like I've sat down, I've prayed with people who are of Muslim faith, Judaism, Christianity, Sikh, and we all believe in the same shit.
I know.
But so why are people fighting, do you think? Where do you think the divide is?
People just want to be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they just don't want to be wrong.
It could be both.
Yeah. I think personally, I think it's more people don't want to be wrong versus they want to be right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. That's probably it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. So, Britt, what is your biggest regret in life so far?
Not saying goodbye to my mom.
Yeah. Why weren't you able to say goodbye to your mom?
It got really hard to go visit her at the, I called it the old folks home, whatever, nursing home, because she truly did not know why she was there. And every time I tried to visit her, she would try to leave. And it was just too painful. And the priest had given her last rites because she was not doing too well. And I took a week off of work, and she hadn't passed, and I went back to work. And the day I went back to work, I remember writing on the little hot sheet that I had to fill out July 20th, 2000. And I just looked at that date and went, huh. And 30 minutes later, my friends walked in the store. They had actually gone to the nursing home to dye her hair for the casket, for the burial. And they came in, and I saw their faces, and I just knew. And the reason I wanted to get out of retail so bad while I went to school is because I found out my mom died when I was at work. I was an assistant store manager when I was like 19. And I called my district manager, told her my mother had passed. And she said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just need you to hang on until Jeff gets in, because you know that you can't leave the store without a manager there." So I had to pull up a piece of cardboard in the back room and cry on that for 2 hours until Jeff came in. And after that, I said, I'm done. I'm not doing this retail thing.
Tough.
Yeah, it was hard.
That's like, that divide between humanity and capitalism.
Yeah. So that regret, and I think it's the other one is just, I was an asshole when I was 12, 13, 14. I know a lot of girls are when they're in that phase of their life, but I was such an asshole. And on top of it, with my mom not having her wits and her being so not normal from what I thought was normal for her, I was just a total fucking cunt to her. And I just hate that that's how she remembers me. Even though everyone's like, that's not how she remembers you. She sees you now. She sees all the good you've done. But it's just like, people can tell you that till they're blue in the face, but you still have that feeling. And I don't know how to fix that.
I don't think you have to fix it. I don't want to be like everyone else and say your mom knew, but she knew.
Yeah.
So if you could change one thing, you'd be there when your mom passed.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you want to say to her, hear from her?
Oh my God. My mom was such an interesting woman. Like, she had me highlighting my hair in the 4th grade. I had lipstick on from age 2. I still won't go out the house without lipstick on. Even during COVID, I had lipstick under my mask. But, you know, like, I feel like I would want to hear her ask me for a Salem Ultra 100, which was her favorite fucking cigarette.
Salem Ultra 100.
That's right.
Oh, ugh. Yeah. Those were the long, skinny, tall ones, right?
They weren't the Capris. Those were the really skinny ones. But
Okay.
they were a very, very light menthol. And my God, Sean, if I could find a pack of those anywhere these days, I mean, smoking that would literally take me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
Because I started smoking those when I started smoking, because that's what was around, you know?
That's what you had.
Yeah.
That's what was in mom's purse.
When my mom caught me smoking, it was because my dad wasn't home, and she found one of his cigarette butts in the ashtray, and she's like, "Did you try smoking?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, do you want to have a cigarette together?" I'm like, "Yes."
And how old were you?
14.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So then we started smoking cigs.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem there.
No problem.
So on the opposite end of the spectrum, what do you think has been your biggest achievement, most proudful accomplishment so far on your journey?
I mean, quitting drinking. I never thought I'd be able to quit drinking.
Yeah.
And although I'm not fully sober, I am incredibly proud of myself for 2 years and 9 months.
I'm proud of you too.
I
Fuck.
did not think that was going to happen. I was the relapse queen.
Relapse is part of it, though.
Yeah, I say that.
It's just part of the process.
Yeah.
You're not an addict if you don't relapse.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it also gives me hope that if I was able to kick that, something that I did for 20 years, I'll be able to kick, you know, the other things that I'm struggling with right now. I'm struggling with addictive behaviors.
Okay.
That's how I like to phrase it.
All right. Mm-hmm. It's a journey. No judgment here.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with one person, alive or dead, who would it be?
I feel like you know the answer.
I'm just asking you questions.
I was actually thinking about this, just listening to your other episodes. Well, for sure Kanye West, because
Well, I wanted to get into that a
I'm
little
a
bit.
huge Kanye fan. But I would probably, there was someone else that I had in mind, and I can't remember who it was. I mean, my dead mom.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because I know what I believe is that when they cross over to the other side, they kind of get back to their best years. So she's probably like 27, modeling like she was with her awesome beehive hair and her cute little outfits. And, you know, like I would love to meet my mom at age 27.
Yeah.
She'd kind of be my twin, because my dad says we look a lot alike. And I would just love to just hear about her life, because I just don't know anything about her. I mean, I know that she, you know, started her own business. She had her own dance school, but like there's no other information that I can get, because all of my relatives have passed and my dad doesn't remember anything. So there is no history about like what her life was like. And that's the thing that and my dad threw everything away. I have one ring that was hers, and that's all I have. So my mom and Kanye, maybe together, all three of us.
Kanye. So what's the fascination with Kanye West?
Because, dude, that guy, he just believes in himself so much, and that is so admirable to me.
Yeah.
Yes. And he's like a master manifester. Like, you watch old clips of him, you know, producing people's shit, trying to sell himself as a rapper, and he was doors slammed to his face. People said, "No, you're just a producer." And he just like, "I don't fucking care what you say. I'm going to do it." And he did it. He's doing it. And, you know, the Donda album to me is the best album that there ever was.
Yeah.
Donda.
Donda's the top
Donda.
shelf.
Donda, 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 Donda. That's actually the intro.
I know.
Donda.
I'm familiar.
Donda. Donda, Donda.
Well, how much
Maybe
do you...
Kanye will listen to this.
Okay. Are you feeling manic right now?
No, that's not me.
So how much do you think that is like an admiration for the confidence versus the cockiness, almost egotistical, almost mania-esque?
It works for him. Like, I feel like his mom really embedded into him, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Don't listen to anybody. You can be whatever you want.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I definitely feel like, his mom died, and that's tough. Like, he's a Gemini, he's bipolar. Like, I'm a Gemini. I've had relationships with people that have experienced that. So I don't know. There's something about his honesty. And I know there's a fine line between like confidence and cockiness, but I think he crosses it all the time. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because more people need to be more confident. Like, that's why I was like, yeah, I'm hot. I mean, I'm a solid 7. If I got a nose job, I'd be at 9.5.
Okay. Well, I'd put you at like a 7.5 solid 7, but I'm like a 4 just to keep it in comparison.
I don't believe that. I don't marry 4s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you marry? Where's the bar?
I mean, I feel like you're an 8.
An 8?
Yeah,
Don't do
I'd
that.
put you at an 8.
Don't do that.
All right. What do you want to be?
I want to not be at all, but
You're a very good looking guy, Sean. You know that.
no. Stop.
Yeah.
No. You seen this belly? Hold on.
And I love that
Pull it
belly.
on camera. Right
You
here.
know what?
For the people at home, first time belly reveal. Solid. That's not an 8. That's not an 8 stomach.
That's okay. I got that for both of us.
So like speaking of Kanye West and like his influence, obviously he's prevalent on like social media and reality TV. What do you think the impact of like social media or the media in general has had on Kanye's personality? Like, how much of Kanye do you think is Kanye, and how much of Kanye do you think is Kanye because asterisk he knows he's in the public eye?
I think all of that is Kanye.
I
think it's just straight up Kanye. Like, he craves that. He wants that. Like, he's a chameleon. Geminis were the duality. Like, he embodies it.
So you're a Gemini.
I am.
Just by the way, you said Geminis and did a little shimmy
Gemini.
to ask. What? So at the end of the day, like you're on your journey right now. Mm-hmm. You've lived a long life.
44 years.
44 years. You've been through a lot of shit. What do you think the biggest misconception people have about you is?
I don't know what people think about me. I absolutely have no idea.
Do you care?
Everybody cares.
I know, I care. I care a lot.
People that say they don't care, I just immediately don't trust them anymore because that's a lie.
I don't know. Tom, my first guest, he didn't care, and I genuinely believed him.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know. I think it's human nature for us to care. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think everyone wants to be liked.
Yeah.
I want to be liked.
You do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you hope people remember you for then?
I don't know. I think I hope that people remember that Joe Ellen, my therapist, hates it when I say this. Like, don't try to be a good person. It's not about being a good person. But I really am empathetic, and I try to put myself in people's shoes and, follow the golden rule.
What's the golden rule?
Do unto others as you would want done unto you. Right. So when our marriage had dissipated and you needed a place to stay, I let you come stay with me against all of my friends' better judgment. Because I felt for you. I felt for you, and I wanted to be able to help. And it was the best. That was a really good decision because you helped me financially. And I got to know who you were, and I saw your first year, without a manic episode, and it was wonderful to witness that. Yeah. And I saw how determined you were, and that was very attractive to me. You were determined to get your child back, which you did. You were determined to buy a house, which you did. You were determined to pay off your car, which you did. You did all of that in a year. And that's an inspiration. You really inspired me.
Oh, thank you. That's a huge spoiler alert for the people at home. My episode doesn't come out till next month, but no, it's okay. I'm very flattered. Thank you very much. So we're coming to the end of our episode. I just want to thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable with me tonight.
Yeah.
Just a couple more questions,
Sure.
Kind of just wrap it up. What do you genuinely believe happens when we die? As someone who follows spiritualistic or religious practices, kind of, but not like dedicated to one or the other. What do you think happens when we die?
I think we go to source and we experience a love like we've never felt before. Honestly, this could be crazy that I think this, but I sometimes question, do I have these addictive behaviors because part of my soul remembers what it feels like to feel that love and to feel that connection to source, that I'm trying desperately to get back there in this 3D world we're in. And I don't know how to do that except for to try to like get the next quick high. So sometimes I wonder if I remember a little bit of what that is like. And I believe that the experience that you have when you cross over is catered to your own beliefs. So, all these experience stories that people share, they're all very different based on, what they experience, but they all have a very common thread, which is, the colors are brilliant and the love that you feel is just unimaginable. And we don't even have words in the English language to describe it.
Oh, especially in the English language.
Yeah.
We have very few words.
Yeah.
We have one word that says hate and love.
Yeah.
Those mean 100 things.
I mean, I believe when we cross over, we get a life review, and I believe...
I hope so.
And I believe that you feel everybody else's feelings in every situation that you were in your life. So I was interacting with someone, I feel what they were feeling at the time that they were interacting with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like...
Whether it be sad, happy, whatever, you'll feel the emotion that you triggered within that person during your life review.
That's optimistic. That's what I hope happens myself.
Yeah?
But I feel like that's kind of like being super optimistic.
Well, what do you think happens?
I don't know. I want the same thing to happen that you do. Mm-hmm. But it almost seems like selfish, we're like, am I owed that experience or that perspective? Am I owed an explanation, or am I just part of the cogs in the machines thrown back into it?
Right.
So I want what you want, but I just don't know if that's what we're going to get.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny. So if you had one piece of advice to leave on to future generations, like if you're going to die tomorrow, one thing, your last words, like don't drink the Kool-Aid or whatever it is, like what would you want to pass on to people, but that you'd want them to genuinely be reciprocative of? What would you want them to genuinely know?
I think what I would want them to know is my definition of personal growth. And that is, personal growth is shortening the distance between the negative emotion that you feel and seeing your part in that emotion. Seeing how it's all about you and not that other person or that thing or that experience that is making you feel this way. It's always a mirror, and every time that you can shorten that distance is a win. And I feel like that's all the whole goal is to try to shorten the distance between that negative emotion and seeing my part in it and realizing what that is really bringing up for me. Yeah. So I don't know if that's the right answer. But
no, I mean, there's no right answer.
That's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Yeah. So
it's true. Almost like get yourself out of that almost victim complex and like acknowledge your role and see the reactions and try to learn from it versus try to hurt from it. I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did with our marriage. Like, what am I going to learn from this? Like, I met an amazing man. Like, I learned that I am worth it. Like, I don't need to have someone in my life to make me feel worthy, because, that was a huge part of the reason that I was so quick to get married. I was like, oh, God, someone loves me. Someone wants to marry me. Like, let's do this because I'm sick of being alone and I have abandonment issues and all these things. Like, I learned that I don't need that. I'm bad by my damn self.
She a baddie?
I'm a bad Bobby.
She a baddie. All right, Britt, thank you so much. Last question of the evening, the most important one. Would you kick a puppy with your full strength, knowing full well that puppy's probably going to die, to save 100 people's lives?
Probably not.
No?
People are the worst, Puppies are so harmless.
That's so great. What if it was 100 people you knew personally?
Yeah.
100 friends and family.
Yeah.
Would that change your answer?
I'd gently kick the puppy.
No, it's all or nothing. There's no gentle.
I don't.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. Ethics are the worst.
Question.
I know. You knew it was coming.
I plead the fifth?
Plead the fifth?
Does that mean something?
You wouldn't kick the puppy, would you?
I don't think I could, dude.
I couldn't. I wouldn't. Sorry. I didn't cause you to die.
Yeah. I mean, these people that are going to die, that's probably just part of their path anyway, so.
Right. All we're deciding is not to hurt a puppy.
Exactly.
That was our crime.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that puppy will be safe in my arms.
Give me that puppy right now.
Yeah.
Well, Britt, thank you so much for being a guest tonight. Last thing, can I get a picture of you to throw you up on the wall?
Absolutely.
The first female on the wall of legends. It's kind of a big deal. All right. So pose pretty. Give me your best smile. All right, Britt, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you to death.
Love you too, honey.
All right.